Did you know that Bump was created by Charles Mills and Terry Brain? These are the same two brilliant minds behind the cult classic The Trapdoor. You know, that dark, funny stop-motion show about a blue monster named Burke. They also made Stop It and Tidy Up, another wonderfully strange 80s cartoon. They had a great gift for making clumsy, lovable characters. The main character, Bump, is a very clumsy baby elephant. You can always spot him by the bandage stuck right in his forehead. Why the bandage? Because he's always bumping into things. Trees, rocks, even his own feet. And that little bump in his head never quite heals. He's called Bump because he's consistently bumping into objects, and because of the permanent bump in his head. It's simple, but it's perfect for a toddler audience. Bump isn't alone on his adventures. His best friend is a small little bluebird named Birdie. Birdie is small, quick, and very sensible, the complete opposite to Bump. She often gives him advice on how to be more graceful, how to avoid bumping into things, and how to solve problems without making a mess. But Bump rarely listens. He means well, but his clumsiness always gets the better of him. Still, Birdie never gives up on him. That's what true friendship looks like. The entire programme is narrated by actor Simon Cadell. You might remember him from the classic sitcom Hi-de-Hi. He played Geoffrey Fairbrother, the holiday camp manager. Simon had a warm, gentle and slightly mischievous voice that was perfect for telling stories to young children. He didn't just read the lines, he became part of the show, reacting to Bump's silly mistakes and cheering him on. His narration gives Bump a cosy bedtime story feel that still holds up today. A total of 27 episodes of Bump were produced across 2 series. The first series aired in 1990, and the second series followed a few years later. Each episode only runs for about 5 minutes, so you can watch the whole thing in just over 2 hours. But the short length was intentional. It was designed for very young children with short attention spans. Quick, sweet and to the point. Perfect for preschoolers. As we mentioned, most episodes of Bump have a runtime of just 5 minutes. However, there is one exception. A Christmas special that runs for 10 minutes. That special was broadcast on 26th of December 1994, and it gave fans a longer, more festive adventure with Bump and Birdie. A whole 10 minutes might not sound like much to adults, but for a toddler watching in the 1990s, that extra 5 minutes felt like a feature-length movie. It was a real festive treat. Bump was originally shown on BBC One as part of the children's BBC programming block. That's the same slot that gave us classics like Fireman Sam, Postman Pat and Pingu. So Bump was in very good company. It aired right beside other beloved preschool shows, usually in the late morning or early afternoon when young children were home watching TV. For many British kids growing up in the early 90s, Bump was a familiar, comforting face. The series was broadcast from the 14th of September 1990 to the 26th of December 1994. That means that Bump ran for just over 4 years. The first series came out in 1990, and the second series followed a bit later, with the final episode being that 1994 Christmas special. So if you were born in the mid-80s, you would have been the perfect age to watch Bump as a toddler or preschooler. Here's a fascinating technical detail. All the distinctive sounds made by Bump and every other character were generated by analog synthesizers. That's the same technique that Mills and Brain used on Stop It and Tidy Up. So Bump doesn't sound like a real elephant. He sounds like a squishy, rubbery, synth-based creature. The squeaks, the thuds, the little chirps from Birdie, all created by old-school synthesizers. It gives the show a unique, slightly retro sound that you won't hear in modern children's animation. One interesting piece of trivia. The 16th episode of Bump had its title changed for the American market. In the UK, it was originally called Bump and Auntie Doreen's Surprise. But when the show was broadcast in the United States, the title was shortened to simply Auntie Doreen's Surprise. Why? Well, probably because American audiences wouldn't have known who Bump was yet, and the longer title might have been confusing. It is a small change, but it shows how children's programs are sometimes subtly adapted for different countries. For a 1990s British preschool show, Bump the Elephant had a modest but charming line of merchandise that fans still look back on fondly. The most prominent releases were the VHS tapes, with 2 compilations put out by Abbey Home Media in 1991, which featured all 13 episodes of the first series. These were later followed by DVD releases, including Bump's Christmas Story in 2006. There was also a very simple plush toy of Bump made, which you can find on online websites. Bookwise, several board books were published, including titles like Bump is Busy and Look at Bump, both written by Christopher James and featuring the show's gentle, colourful art style. Bump and Birdie regularly encounter a whole cast of recurring animal characters. There's Wizard the Mouse, who's always in a hurry. Munch the Tortoise, who moves very, very slowly. Batty the Bat, who has a few problems with hanging upside down. And many, many more. Each episode usually introduces a new friend with a problem that Bump accidentally helps solve. These reoccurring characters make the world of Bump feel bigger and more lived in, even though each episode is only 5 minutes long.